HR Success Talk has started its journey in 2012 with a vision to bring HR and business leaders together in a form of a community to share knowledge and learn from each other. Starting from a single blog, we reached our first initiative called Forum to give a bigger platform to HR professionals to collaborate with each other. Later, we realized that we need to connect our members in person along with online. Hence, we launched our vertical called HR String Meets, under which we organize HR conferences and meetups where we invite HR and business leaders to talk about best practices in HR and business in different industries. HR String Meets also became a platform for our members to network with each other. We continued and also launched our online assessment vertical, which helps professionals at different levels in their career to learn and get a certificate in a specified field in HR. These assessments and certifications help HR professionals to find jobs or advancement in their career. HR Success Talk has leveraged technology while building the community. Our YouTube channel is focused on providing online videos or diverse different topics for benefits of our members. We can find video study material on topics like talent acquisition, HR generalist, HR analytics, learning and development, labor laws, and many more. During pandemic, we launched our webinar vertical. Again, with the use of the technology, we continued our mission of sharing and learning from each other. We touched thousands of lives across the globe and shared knowledge which was meaningful for our members. In HR Success Talk, we believe in recognizing and appreciating the contribution of HR and business leaders in their field, which is equally important. Hence, we launched our award vertical to provide a platform to professionals to give an opportunity to showcase their contribution and get recognized for it. We believe in fairness and capability. Hence, our jury and selection process is built in such a way that it provides opportunity to those who really deserve it. HR Success Talk has a very good presence on multiple social media platforms and other communication channels like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Twitter. You can also visit our website www.hrsuccesstalk.com to read some interesting blog by our HR bloggers on trending topics and issues. We are a huge community with global presence in multiple countries and thousands members and growing every month. We provide a platform to our members where they can learn from each other, can share their knowledge, and knowledge for others' benefit, build relationships and networking, and leverage this networking in any way they feel like. We have so many stories where our volunteers have leveraged this platform to find jobs, get new business opportunities, find a mentor to guide. It is up to them how they wish to leverage and use our platform. And guess what? You don't have to pay a fees to be a member or fill any form. You can be a member by click of a button by liking our Facebook, LinkedIn page or any other social media channel. Simple, isn't it? You must be wondering how we manage all this. Yes, you guessed it right. We have a force of highly talented volunteers who spend 3 to 5 hours every week of their time for this community. We also invest highly on the development of our volunteers and our HR team organize exclusive training sessions for them. Some of them have started as volunteers, and today they are playing the leadership role in this community. If you also have the zeal and passion to serve the HR community and time to contribute, you can send your resume at info@hrsuccesstalk.com to be our volunteer. Our talent team will be in touch with you. For us, this is just a beginning. You can either choose to be part of the journey or watch it from a distance. Let's learn and share together.
Aravind, I believe you're on mute.
Good evening, everyone out there. Hearty welcome to another edition of the fantastic Edge Talk series. Experience, development, growth, and engagement. Brilliant way to extract the so-called tacit power or knowledge or experience of great minds. That's the whole idea of having this program. So today we have a fantastic mind. I'm sure this is one first question which I'll definitely ask her. But she is one person who has worked or has a span of experience from some of the best companies in the world, starting with ThoughtWorks, Dell, everywhere. Dell, I can see she has worked for Oakland, Financial Arms, and right now she is the AVP of Amantia Technologies. So before I start and before I ask her very, very serious kind of questions, first question to you is basically I would like to know we would like to know who is this Pallavi and would like to know where is she started from and what is she doing now?
Thank you so much, and good evening and good morning to everybody who's watching this show. Thank you, Aravind and Ranjit, for this opportunity. And who's this Pallavi? Well, mix of interesting things, I would say, because actually I'm a technical graduate. You know, I'm a maths person with graduation in mathematics and computer science from Lucknow University. And I was all set to be a software engineer, or maybe by now some senior software engineer in the IT industry, because I cracked the engineering services entrance exam. But that was the time when Aravind, I realized that I am not a person who would do my best if I'm sitting in front of a computer. So I asked this question to myself, then where is my heart? And the question came very clear, that my heart lies when I'm working with people.
Awesome.
So, you know, I had to take that strong decision and go back to my dad and request him, because he was expecting, he's an engineer, so he was wanting me to take forward his legacy. And I said, no, this is not what I want to do. So a tough battle to win, but then I think my confidence was something which convinced my dad, and here I am as an HR person. Something that drives me till date and right from day one at my job in Auckland is that I wish to make improvements and impact at least one life in a positive manner on every single day. So whenever I'm thinking of any initiative in any of the organizations that I've worked in, one thing that I have kept always in my mind is that I have to do it right. If I'm doing it for myself and I'll do it this way, that's the only way I'll do it for my people. And the second thing is that even when I'm gone from this place, people should have value coming from what I'm doing today. All right. So that's who I am. by God's grace, yes, got opportunities with lots of great organizations. And I really thank him that, my journey has been great. I have learned a lot of things. I have unlearned a lot of things. And I would be very, very happy if my learning and unlearning can actually add value to anyone around, and they can actually make better professionals, human beings, whichever way. And I'm always available to take another step in that direction. That's what Pallavi is.
Awesome. So I have stolen three things from you. VIC, value, impact, and contribution, or impactful contribution or deliverable in your role. That defines you.
Definitely.
And that is the main role in HR. How much you can impact, you can create in someone's career and role. Correct? As a people function.
For sure. See, I'll tell you, HR function is actually the salt in any of the dishes we eat. Okay. Everybody can appreciate spices, the aroma that we feel. You can recognize nutmeg, you can recognize cinnamon, you can recognize bay leaf, but you would never appreciate salt, right? Have you ever done that? But the moment salt goes missing from your dish, any spice on this earth cannot make that dish tasteful. And that's exactly what HR function is. Till the time things are nice, you feel everything nice. Everything is just in place the way how it should be. And the moment the HR function starts failing, things starts crumbling down, not just in employees' life, but in business, in compliance, in experience what people get. And that's how we are making all the impact right from the behind. But trust me, HR is one of the strongest pillars of any business in any industry.
I wish all my future leaders of tomorrow are watching this, because people function is not just another function which doesn't add value. People function is the function which adds value, because some things are tangible, some things are intangible.
Not tangible.
And as you rightly said, impactful deliverables which really impacts careers. That's a key. Simply brilliant to start the conversation.
You got it right, Aravind. Thank you so much.
Now I'm just going to, since you have touched upon the most important thing, and actually that is the norm which is coming up in the so-called VUCA world, or the so-called turbulent world, and the set of things which you're facing is, especially the 2019 and 20s, it had this so-called hybrid. But the most important thing, something which was coming up as a threat more than the so-called COVID, was data security and compliance. So I want you to throw me some lights, and then I'll ask you more questions around that.
Sure.
So I just want to understand more, what is the so-called HR compliance? Why is there so much air or so much of being said about GDPR and a lot of things?
So Aravind, compliance has a bit of scary tone, irrespective of we're talking about hybrid or a non-hybrid work location. But whenever we talk about compliance, there is a fear factor that comes in. But what I would suggest here today is that even if you're not an HR person, it's very, very simple to understand what is compliance. So one barometer or one checkpoint that you have to apply when you think that whether you're compliant or not is that whether your action is in line with the law of the land and it is culturally fit. If your answer is yes to these two questions, you are compliant. And I'll pick up some questions, okay? So for example, a lot of people ask, what does it make difference if we tailgate? Okay, right? Very, 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 very candid question, and very, very irritating tone we get to hear that, why do you stop us from tailgating? Oh, I forgot my ID card. But no one understands that tailgating is tailgating is the impact of what the action you're doing. Actually, with your access card, we are tracking when you are in the office, when you step out in the office, right? And with that, it's not to track that whether you have completed your hours or not, but it is to make sure that if there is an audit, for example, client says, I want a log of your employee who has worked for 5 hours according to the timesheet. I have a strong and valid entry log and exit log, which can provide that support, saying that, no, my employee was in the office for 5 hours. And see, this is the timestamps coming in, right? Very simple thing. Going to documentation, everybody expects that, oh, HR is chasing my life like anything, and I have not submitted this documentation. Guys, please understand that maintaining the impeccable HR records in terms of documentation is imperative for HR from the law of the land perspective. Okay. And secondly, what you forget is that we are maintaining these records even after you decide to move on. Why? because you will come back to us asking for the support in terms of background verification, in terms of reissue of the relieving letter or any of the offer letters or salary slips, right? So as an HR, I'm supposed to take care of you while you are here with me and when you are gone too, right? Simple things. Do you jump traffic signals? If you don't jump the traffic signals, you are compliant. Okay. Let's understand, uh, what does it mean from the HR, or we often see that, equal employment opportunity. And HR is responsible. We are the gatekeeper that nobody with the right set of talent and qualification should get discriminated on the basis of their gender or ability or their preferences. We cannot let that happen. Okay. It sounds, very, high level concept, but actually that helps us get the right set of talent. It helps us gain the brand image, which is actually true to what the value system and organization believes. Okay, let's understand the law of the land. Okay, in India, I'll talk about specific. Our states have different laws around how many leaves should be provided to the people. What is the payment that must go out to the people in terms of their spending hours on public holidays like 15th August, 26th January. Okay, as an organization which has multiple locations and people spread across the country, I myself is responsible to make sure that whenever there is a change that is issued by any of the states, I make that change. Then I make sure that the benefits which are entitled to my people, those benefits are passed on. If it is area based, those areas are paid. See, nobody is looking at me now. If I go back to my person and says that, okay, you know what, there is a revision in the minimum laws and hence I'm paying you, this amount extra. Hardly people will go back and verify my statement and say that the state government revised it from January 1st, but you are only giving me from March 1st. I can easily do that. But is that compliant? No. That is what is compliant. So the two questions that you have to ask yourself, is it in line with my law of the land? And is it in line with my cultural fit, cultural aspects? It is very obvious and genuine in Western countries to give a kiss on the cheek and wish somebody, right? It's normal, you pat you on the back, or you wear certain kinds of dresses, which is culturally very acceptable. But we have to see that, do we have the similar culture in our parts of the country? If yes, fantastic. If no, then be cognizant of that. Maybe, a peck on my cheek is not something which is acceptable to me because my culture doesn't allow that. So a shake of a hand is something which I would prefer. And this is something which every individual has to pay attention even when they're visiting another country. It's not about my culture. It's about being part of the culture where you are going right now. The country who's hosting you, please make sure that you have to follow and abide by the rules of even that country. So this is how simple it is. Just two questions, answer them. If they're yes, you're right there.
So basically, I would say, again, I'm going to put some abbreviation. It's all about LC. Basically, maintaining or adhering to the law of land, which is like around 90%. And in terms of the cultural alignment, basically, you cannot have your own set of standards of work when you're working for an organization. So in order to have that same shared mindset, you have this kind of HR compliance kind of organization.
Exactly.
Because everyone, same laws or whatever you have as policies or practices or programs, it has to be adhered to.
Right.
Then you have the DEIB also coming into picture: diversity, equity, inclusion, and belongingness happening.
And belongingness. Right. You've just covered it in the right abbreviation.
Awesome. Now it looks like it is really getting excited. So you just spoke why it is important, and also you were just citing some of the examples. But Pallavi, is there any way you can just tell me some of the areas which is something which HR has to? Maybe it is not an exhaustive list per se, but in at least some areas which my listeners, my great leaders of tomorrow, it can just help us. At least say tomorrow they see some kind of deviations, at least that would trigger them. Okay, this is what it is.
Okay. Here is what a couple of things that any HR has to always keep in mind. And I'll start right from the spot where the talent enters any organization. Okay. Now, when a person enters and we onboard, I think the first thing that we have to keep in mind is that the authentication of the documents that is being provided. What we as an HR must be very careful that there are as many good people and organizations in this world, but there are a few percentage of organizations which actually support some of the not so right things. Okay, they would provide certificates in lieu of money and all that. So as an HR, you must make sure that you are verifying the documents from every single new joiner on board, doing the right verification. Okay, and trust me, no HR would expect that fake documentation should be submitted, because asking somebody to leave on any grounds, forget about just BGV, but on any grounds is something which none of the HR like to do. It is very hurtful for us to ask somebody to step down and put down the papers and move on, right? So, but then that's the duty. If that's the call of the duty, we do it, because that's not the right thing to acknowledge and let it happen. And I'll tell you why does this, we cannot let happen or turn a blind eye to an incident or two also later on. But starting there, please make sure that the background verification is done. Second point is that an HR should always do a review, if not 6 monthly, but then at least annual review of their policies, which are on minimum wages, on the leaves, on the insurance part. These are the things which require a regular review from it, because then you will be able to see if there is a mistake, one, and if there is an opportunity to improvise. So that's point number 2. You have to regularly review your. Third thing is that never shy out from an audit, internal or external audit. Okay, audits are one way to make sure that your processes are running absolutely error-free. Internal audits will regularly tell you that. External audits and certifications will help you get to a level where the rest of the world is operating at. They will reduce the scope of error. They will help you understand where the balls get dropped or they get missed. And this will help you make your function stronger. Awesome. Third thing is, an HR person has to constantly think of ways in which things can go wrong. Okay, you know, it is a very known saying that when you want to catch a thief, think like a thief, right? So constantly think of things where errors can be made. Okay. One thing that we often see is that there is a timesheet that is filled by the normal IT world, and they get submitted, and then there is a billing on it. Then there is a tool which is utilized for applying leaves and all that. But I can actually bet right now that if all the HR professionals will go back and do an internal triangulation of data, they will not find 100% match of what they're billing to the client versus what is getting captured in the HR tool. And that's not, maybe it's not on purpose. It could be just human error. I told my boss I'm going on off, and I go back and I forget to apply on the leave on the tool, and I go ahead and I fill the full time sheets. But that's a non-compliance, because I have not worked that day and I'm still billing the client, and I'm still not telling my organization on a formal note that this is something which I have utilized as for personal tasks. So then comes the employee life cycle part. And I have an incident to quote over here. I'll say quite a few number of years back, I came across an address and a family member's proof that I was supposed to get issued to the employee. So the employee gave me details of himself, his spouse, and he says that please verify that 2 of us stay at this address, and I need it for some bank loan purposes and everything. Now, given the pressure that we have to meet the timelines and tax, etc., normally what would have happened from my end is I would have just issued that letter, assuming the person has employed with me, has provided the right set of information to me. But that was not the right way if I would have done that. So what I did, I asked my support team to get me his physical file, because that was the time of physical file, and I checked the records which he provided. And would you believe that the name of the spouse that he provided at the time of joining versus what he provided at that point in time were different. So I called up this person. I said, can you come down? I need to discuss. And then when I showed him, I said, you gave something else at the time of joining, and now the name is different. What happened? And then he revealed that he was supposed to use the letter given by me to go and marry this woman, which was completely against the Hindu Marriage Act.
Awesome.
Right? So this is what is the alertness of an HR person can save, and see what it could have done. My simple laziness or not so deep a thought process could have caused to at least 3 people, and 2 families or 3 families got tangled into a legal feud, right? So an HR person can never assume things. They have to base all their actions on facts. That's it. There's no other way to do things. If you don't know your facts, delay the response, but don't give the wrong response.
Brilliant.
Coming to the exit, the last, halt of an employee, just make sure that you do not just get the paper signed by the employee. Quite a few of us deal with people when they exit, they are actually in custody of a lot of sensitive information, which is very, very business impacting, compliance related, some things which can be held, utilized in terms of internal trading, etc., etc. So just don't give them an NDA and tell them to sign, because people wouldn't read it. And if they read it, they might not make most of it. Tell them that, what is the impact of sharing this information once you step out this organization would mean to them, to the next organization, and to your current organization. Help them understand that they will land in a legal battle, if things that they are, in accordance with, if they know something and they reveal it to their next employer, they can be legally sued, right? I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but recently a very known journalist had to actually win a legal battle before she could take up an employment with the next employer, right? So it's not just on papers, guys. It is possible. And the more at stake, the heavier is the price that an organization and individual has to pay. So that's how I will say that an HR has to always keep their eyes and ears open, and they can do their job well. Second thing is always solicit response from your people. See, God couldn't be everywhere, so he created mother, but HR can't be everywhere, so he created employee relations. Okay. It is not possible for an HR team to be everywhere, to tap things that are going on. I'll take another example. Aravind, you asked me that in the hybrid model, right? Now, the official asset, our laptop, has become a personal asset, right? So sending the projects of my child, downloading a document, we very often go ahead and, I need to convert this document to PDF. I'll download some non-licensed software on my system and I will do my stuff, right? And then we will feel bad if my IT department questions me. But how many times have we ever gone that I am using a software which is not licensed? And it could be a gateway to a virus, not just to my laptop, but to my internal network, right? It can bring down the entire network of my organization. And if we are doing this is wrong. So while we are in the hybrid, we have to make sure that we actually pay attention to these small little things. A people-oriented organization will never turn down an option of supporting you, but they would expect a very, very clear and upfront communication from you. Please do not use these unlicensed softwares or storage. You unlock your USB ports and you access USBs which are not really verified, gateway to virus again. And these are non-compliant things from the IT team. So you have to be very, very careful. You need help, ask for help. And trust me, if you'll ask, you'll get it easier than just looking for these ad hoc options, which may just open Pandora's box for all of us.
I'm blown out, actually. I don't have words, but I've captured something called CATEL. Okay.
Okay.
Cattle. So basically, cattle is, I'm just reiterating, and I want Pallavi you to either second me or just shout out if I'm saying something wrong.
No
Catalyst, first thing is understand the checklist, because checklist deviation is not accepted. Checklist means at least whatever you believe as part of your culture, maybe as part of GDPR, probably that's something which Pallavi might speak at some point of time. Most important, there are some few things which are indispensable: 10th, 12th marks, where are you from, permanent address, something. That is something which in a start of onboarding has to be there. That is the C. Auditing and review, audit/review. She was emphasizing, review your documents at least 3 months and have a stringent HR auditor. You should not become an auditor. Ensure you're the most, what you said, the most difficult HR, people person or your delivery head.
You know what? Choose somebody who hates HR.
Who hates HR? Thank you.
Who hates HR.
Thank you. The most hated critic or the most critic guy will
Our
help
best
you to
critic.
analyze.
Yes.
Next is think like an auditor, because auditor's job is to find faults.
False.
Brilliant point. Last, evidence-based management. HR cannot say everything aisa tha, it was like this. No. Where was it? When was it? Detailing, documentation, and data-based management or evidence-based management, EBM, has to be practiced, and that should be embedded into your culture. Last but not the least, L. If your people are not learning, try to ensure you provide that kind of knowledge in terms of documentation through your portals, and don't make assumptions and presumptions that your people know everything. No, as an HR, this is where you bring in credibility or trust by making them knowledgeable through your so-called document, the so-called policies. You cannot say it is there in the intranet. No, it becomes your responsibility to make them knowledgeable, make them okay.
Exactly. Yes.
And that is a constant communication.
Constant
communication. Also, when you want to make your organization HR compliant, as rightly said by Pallavi, you should do consistent, clear communication. CCC. Okay.
Right.
So anything which I have missed out?
You're very good at capturing the abbreviations, Aravind. I must learn this from you. Very quick way of learning things, but you're bang on, right? HR has to constantly make sure that their people are aware of what has changed and how is it impacting them. So you have to tell them what's in it for them. Tell me if any one of us would actually go and buy anything from any shopkeeper who keeps fluctuating the quality, prices, and the mode of accepting the payments, etc. No, you would want to go to a person whose standards don't change, right? And that's exactly is important for any organization to maintain. An employee would want to work for an organization who stays on the policy. The policies do not change from one group to another, from one country to another country, from one region to another region, from one employee to another employee for that matter, right? If I can provide 7 months of maternity to one employee of mine, the second one becomes eligible for it. Okay, I cannot be denying. If work from home in case of a family member falling sick is available for one person, it is available for the rest of my employees, right? So as an employee, I would work for an organization which has policies in place, and they're equally, everybody is equal, and then some more are equal is not something I would accept and live with, right? Similarly, let's understand that there is a huge cost of business involved in it. When a business partner, right, for the clients who sign a business MOUs with us, would also want to deal with an organization who has their value system, the processes, policies, departments, people, all aware of what does fair practices of doing business mean, right?
Right.
They would not want to get into a business deal with an organization where employees don't understand what discipline means, what it means when I'm using my software or when I'm sharing my confidential information over a beer or a coffee mug, right? They would not want to work with that organization. And this is built, this image of an organization is built not by the leadership of the team. I'll very clearly say that, nobody, no leader, no CEOs build this brand. This is purely built by HR because they are the custodians of the policies and processes. And the second person who builds this is the employee, because more than often it reflects in their behavior. It's very simple for anybody to observe. Just ask them to do a wrong thing. If they say blank, no, I will be honored. I will feel the strongest as an HR when my employees turns down a most lucrative offer saying that, no, I'm not going to do the wrong thing. That's not the right way to do things. I'm not going to do. And I know my HR is going to back me up because they are the ones who've told me to say a very strict no when it comes to doing things in any other way than the right way. And this is what builds an organization which is there to stay for long, grow for long, have people stay with them for a very long time.
the so-called people-centric organizations.
Exactly.
Awesome. So basically, one important thing: let the people be aware has to be removed. It is that HR has to be aware now.
Exactly. People are everywhere. See, client is not dealing with HR, right? I'm not talking to, I'll talk to them once in a quarter, maybe, when there is a formal meetup or when there is something that they ask me. But my people are the ones we're talking to. And if my person is conscious enough to not use the official laptop doing anything wrong, if my person is conscious enough to say that, no, these are the hours I'm blocking in my timesheet and they are exactly in line with how I'm performing. If my people are conscious enough to say that, you know what, you are asking us to download this software, but hang on, I will have to take permission from my IT before I actually download it and start working on it. That there we are. I'm not really worried about that, what anybody thinks of it, but I'll say that nobody can question on me or my people on the compliance aspects of it.
Awesome. Pallavi, since you're a maths person, equation for you: trust equals credibility into compliance, plus or minus, plus or multiplication, you have to decide. Trust equals compliance into
multiplied. No, I'll say multiplied. It gets multiplied, not just added.
Compliance into credibility into effective communication
is trust.
Multiplication or plus?
No, I'll say compliance multiplied by your credibility plus your employee communications. So you put a bracket before you put a plus.
I applied the board maths there, but then since I'm talking to a maths person, so okay, fantastic.
Yeah, you
also,
put a
the
bracket.
equation is same.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now it's getting exciting. Now there is one major issue which is popping up in my mind, Pallavi. One thing is, most of us say, this is not my job. This is not HR's job, or this is purely IT's jobs to maintain it. I firmly believe, since you have the custodian of the most secretive or the most important thing called employee file, can you share this kind of responsibility or the accountability to the so-called IT team? My answer is no. I want your thoughts, because who are accountable? I don't want responsible, because everyone's accountable. Everyone's responsibility becomes no one's accountability. But then who is the sole owner actually?
Okay. So look, from the process and the custodian perspective, of course, HR becomes the custodian of this.
Awesome.
If there is any question that needs to be asked, then we are supposed to know everything before anybody can question us, and we should have answer to everything that can be questioned to us. So as from the process and organization perspective, you have to just give me a second, guys.
No.
Sorry.
No worries. That happens. It's a hybrid environment. Fantastic. Okay, good.
Okay. So yes, HR is the one who's responsible, and it is our responsibility to make sure that we are connecting with the right stakeholders. So if it is IT, if it is leadership, if it is an employee, if it is the employee leadership, whatever it is, we are supposed to connect, make sure the dots are connected, and we are sorted.
Awesome.
But when it comes to the ownership, let's understand that organization is never mine. Organization is our. All right. We are part of one family. Okay. Right. And as an HR, I always make sure that I solicit support from every single person, irrespective of their department, their finance, their accounts, their labor compliance, their IT, their engineering, their Marcom, their business, pre-sales, anybody. Why? Because you are doing your own set of responsibilities you are rendering to. And you may come across a situation which may just not fit in that checklist of whether it is in line with law of the land and whether it is culturally fit. And if you come across that situation, it has to be reported to HR. Okay. Absolutely. All that you need to do is be a whistleblower of that situation and come back and talk to your judge saying that, look, I noticed this thing. Can you please investigate and let me know what is the right way to handle this situation? Okay. So from the accountability and perspective, I own. HR is the custodian, but ownership lies with each one of us. Awesome. One thing that I want to call out over here is, Aravind, leadership plays a very critical role over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as an HR leader or as a business leader or the CEOs, the CXOs over here, we have to make sure that that we actually enact this part of being truthful, compliant, legally all well in everything that we do. First thing, right? So it has to reflect from our conversation, not saying that, oh, you know what, we are very compliant, we are very compliant. No, if you're compliant, it will reflect in your policies, the way you do business, the way you choose your clients, it will reflect in that. Second very important support that the leadership has to bring in over here is that if you come across a situation where you're supposed to back your employee up on a whistleblowing kind of a situation, make sure you do that.
Yes.
Make sure you do that, even if it is at the cost of losing some business. Right? Because that's what will build the trust in your people and saying that, no, my organization values the value system more than the dollars. And this is the place where things will not go in wrong direction, no matter what goes. If I'm liable for something, I'll be liable. If I'm eligible for something, I'll be getting that. If I'm doing something wrong, I'll get punished. But if I'm calling out something happening wrong, I will never be punished about it. So that's how I'll define ownership.
So more or less, leadership, setting the right example, number one, walk the talk and inject or ingrain the so-called compliance into the so-called culture.
It has
everyone's accountability towards ensuring the organization is compliant, not one person or only one group. It's a shared mindset.
Right. And it has to be the part of the fabric. Unless and until everybody will start thinking out of in that manner, it will not become the part of the fabric. But it is something that is always there. For example, I have seen organizations I've personally worked with turn down good amount of business, profit giving assignments because the client was not operating in the domain which was setting right with their own value system. And they politely turned it down, right? So no hard feelings. It's just that I just don't believe in your value system. I'm not saying you're wrong and I'm right, but I'm just saying that we believe in two different sets of concepts. I appreciate yours, you appreciate mine, but it would not be possible to do business together. Just that, right? So that's how we will say that leadership, when an employee sees their topmost leaders doing the right thing in any circumstances, the kind of confidence that builds, no?
Right.
Trust me, it is like icing on the cake.
Because then you have something called the role models whom we can look up. They themselves are compliant and they believe it, and it's part of their actions also. And your action speaks more than your words.
Right. And if in case any one of us have made a mistake, for example, maybe we have jumped the traffic signal, right?
Right.
There is no harm in saying that, look, I was young and I made a mistake. But now when I'm standing at this, after so many years, I realize I did something wrong. And I'm asking you, begging you not to make the mistakes that I've made. So there is nothing wrong. All of us make mistakes, Nobody is above making mistakes. But making sure that, and owning up these kind of things actually let your employees also think in that direction, right? When you share your personal examples with them, when you talk to them on a note where you tell them that, look, I'm not irrefutable, right? I'm also a human being, no matter where my designation puts me today, but I'm one of the Jingbang, right? I'm not very different from you. When I was as young as you are, I was probably standing there, and I may have made mistakes, right? And this is where I am. I learn from it. Why don't you learn from my mistake instead of making your own set? Make new mistakes, learn new things, not make the same mistakes that I have done.
Awesome. So maybe I'm going to because I think this compliance and the governance part is an ocean, and I'm sure you're the expert, and maybe because of the paucity of time, I might have to ask you the last question. But maybe if I were to say, I'm again bringing an acronym here, basically CPG, basically compliance, POSH, and governance. So going forward, I think seeing so much of data breaches and so much, what is your final thought in saying that compliance is the new norm and then a lot of HR should spend a lot of time around it? This has been something which is there. But what do you think, seeing so many cases around the POSH, grievance, wouldn't that C also fit into that so-called compliance, POSH, and governance kind of grievance. So do you think C also fits into that framework?
See, actually, if I'm allowed to put this in a pictorial format, I'll draw a circle, I'll cut it into half, I'll put posh on one side, grievance on one side, and on the equator, I'll put compliance.
You're a maths person.
Okay.
So that means equal. Okay. Oh, fantastic. I really must thank you for that, because compliance is equal for both. And if you're not compliant in both, you are failing as a node.
You are failing.
What about 50-50%? You have not.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. I would say that compliance is equal in all scenarios. And grievance is as grave as posh complaints, and posh is as grave as the grievance complaints. You cannot actually decide that this is more important for me.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely equal importance that an HR has to give. No matter how small is the grievance that an employee has, no matter how vague a posh complaint comes to you, you have to pay attention to it. Deal it like your family member is coming and complaining to you. I can guarantee an HR will not go wrong, right? If you have two children and one of them keeps coming to you and complaining about the other child, I'm sure quite a few can relate to this. I have two sons, so I keep playing this role every now and then. One keeps complaining. The younger one is always constantly complaining about the elder one. Okay. But as a mom, I have to make sure that whenever the complaint is coming, the complaint has to be reviewed. And then I have to tell that, no, this time your elder brother is not wrong. Actually, you are. All right. And that's exactly what we have to do. You know, to treat your organization as your own home, whether you're working from hybrid, you make sure that you're not using your laptop as something which doesn't belong to you. Arvind, I'll just take 30 seconds over here. I know we are reaching the end of the show time, but I'll just show you off lately in the hybrid, we have found a lot of cases of laptop going, they're being spoiled, or they're being, they're being submitted saying that because I poured my coffee on it, my child threw the laptop. Trust me, if you were working on your personal machine, no Coke, no coffee, no child would have done this.
Absolutely.
Right? So what stops you from treating your official things? And I'm saying things, why? Because your responsibility, your ownership, your assets, data, information, client relationships, employee relationships, I'm keeping everything in the same line, not one above the other, in the same line, like you treat your family, your own assets, which you purchase from your hard-earned money, your family members. Awesome. Try doing that. The kind of mental peace that you will have after that will help you take this, I'll say pledge in your life that I will not do things in the wrong manner.
Awesome. So I think I don't have any words. But 1-2 cents from mind. As long when you feel the world is, anyways, your so-called Googles or the world or the Facebooks have more data about you than you. The Jatak, everything is there. They know better than you. But then as long you understand as long you can have a sound sleep in the night, I feel you are more or less compliant. I think, and especially as you rightly said, when you see when you start seeing everything is something which I have to maintain that kind of discipline, when it comes to my own life, at least you will not do a breach of compliance. So I don't think you need a specific learning for doing it. It's there in your actions, but put a lot of conscious effort to redefine those actions.
Exactly. Okay. That's how I will define it, and that's what I've been following it. So those are my few thoughts.
Awesome. I literally don't know what to say, and because of paucity of time, I literally want to thank you, Pallavi. HR Success Talk, amazing workplace. Thank you very much. It was simply brilliant. I literally could steal a lot of ideas, and I could steal a lot of abbreviations for myself and for the leaders of tomorrow who are watching this great show. Last but not the least, I'm taking this opportunity to wish you, Pallavi, my HR Success team, all my listeners and great leaders out there, Merry Christmas and a great year ahead. I'm sure
so much.
We'll definitely meet again. Thank you very much.
Definitely. And thank you so much to all the viewers. Please make sure that if there is a channel, pass on the feedback. You can find me on the LinkedIn. I would really, really appreciate to hear back from you through HR Success Talks, because your thoughts will make a difference to HR success teams and to me also, to get better and opportunity to connect back again.
Sure. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Aravind. Thank you so much.